Deadpool, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Hey comic freaks, and welcome back to Dangerous Comics. I'm your host, Dane Georges, and today we're looking at Deadpool number 15. Now, if you just saw Deadpool and Wolverine and you're looking to scratch that itch and find a comic that you can read that really gets you just as excited as the movie did, if not more, then look no further. Now, this Deadpool story, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, takes place during the very popular Brian Posehn and Jerry Duggan Deadpool run that started in 2012. And the run started off with a really great storyline illustrated by Tony Moore, and it was all about Deadpool trying to kill a bunch of the founding fathers or past presidents that were coming back to life. I was attracted to this series because of Rick Remender's X-Force, which featured Deadpool. I read that story and I loved it. So this story in particular came out in 2013, issue 15 into the run. We do see it is part of this join the re-evolution push that Marvel was doing at the time. All these books have these AR codes in them. You can see it's promoted on all of these, but that was just a system or an app that you would use. Comics will actually have panels that call out AR in the corner, and what you would do is you take your phone and you would scan that panel. It's almost like a QR code, but it would scan it and it would basically just like play a video. But kind of coming at an interesting time in comics, 2013, when digital comics were starting to come to the forefront. Comixology was getting bigger and bigger. There were digital comics. It was a cool initiative to see how it would work. And you'd get some kind of like behind the scenes footage. Maybe you get some sketches. Maybe you get the artist or writer talking about something that was happening behind the scenes. It almost kind of also worked as like an editor caption that would be at the bottom that would say like, see issue blah 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 to know what happened. So it could also fill in gaps like that. But honestly, I think it's a cool initiative that they tried to do. It didn't really catch, and that is not even an app that is available anymore. So didn't really have a long lasting effect. I don't know if there's any way that it's like connected in like Marvel's digital reader, if like you click that and it goes to anything. I do think a good amount of the videos that would have been connected to the AR are now on Marvel's YouTube page, so they're not like dead and gone from the internet, but it is a shame that the actual app doesn't work anymore, so you kind of lose a little bit of the integration. And so what's really nice about these issues, you don't really need to have read all of the storylines before this. They always did a really great job of giving you kind of like a summary page. We get a great little title of an introduction for who Deadpool is, and then we get this cute little character of Deadpool that would then tell us what has been going on in the story. There is one big kind of plot element in here that Deadpool early on in the series worked with this Agent Preston, and she was killed, and in the process her mind or her like personality became part of Deadpool. So now he's got like another voice in his head, which works really nicely. It kind of like plays up like, is this really happening? Is Deadpool just imagining this? Is he crazy enough that he thinks Agent Preston is in his head, or is she actually? It's a really nice element to have in here, so Deadpool kind of has somebody to talk to and kind of bounce off of. Otherwise, he's just kind of like being meta and talking to the audience, but I think it's nice he has like another person in his head to be talking to. But we get this update that Deadpool has been like waking up and he's been noticing that his like organs have been harvested. That's Agent Preston, the deceased-ish SHIELD agent I have stowed away in my brain with me until I find her a new home. And she's saying, can we get on with that? And he says, I'll get to it. For now, I need to deal with these people that keep knocking me out and stealing my organs. Apparently, it's happened a bunch of times, but the most recent time, I got the drop on them. But they all got dead because you killed them, she says. Only most of them. But before the last one died, she told me about a guy named Butler who's in charge. That's right. The Butler did it. And so this story is credited to Brian Posehn and Jerry Duggan, and with really great art by Declan Shalvey. It's colored by Jordi Belair, who's an amazing colorist. And I think overall this is a really great, I think why I love this storyline so much is the art team as well. And at this time, Deadpool had a really great revolving door of artists, starting out with Tony Moore, then into some Mike Hawthorne, which you see here, and then onto Declan Shalvey. So really great artwork overall. You can't miss with any of these story arcs. And so we see kind of that this is going to get into a bit of Deadpool's origin, right? We see that somebody's been stealing his organs, and we know that the butler did it. But now we're getting into a little bit of why. Then, so we're going back in time. He says, "Let me get this straight. One of the Weapon X test subjects arrived here riddled with cancer. Yes, but a cancer which we cured as part of our experiments. Yes, but it's not as simple as... Now, I want to be clear about what happened next. You took this man, cured of cancer as he was, and then you washed him out of the program." And so we're seeing like a little bit of what was going on with Deadpool's introduction to the Weapon Plus program. And that's probably a bit of what Deadpool doesn't even remember about his own history, but him getting washed out of the complex. Kind of playing on, the imagery of like the Barry Windsor Smith Weapon X story of Logan escaping from the compound and being out into the winter as he went on and tried to find out who he was and everything. And we get kind of the same with Deadpool here. He's being washed out of the complex, and we see all of the dead other test subjects that were failures before him. Really great coloring. I really love the composition here. I love how Jordi Belair has kind of like knocked out the lines to be a color hold, so they're this blue on the white gives a really cold sensation, and then letting Deadpool's colors be red kind of just draws focus right to him. So we see this art team just in full effect right from the start. I love how the panel borders are also red, but as he's picked himself up and walked right into the sunset. He says, "But yeah, the guy with cancer went out with the trash. What we accomplished with his body might have been special, but his mind was garbage." And so this guy is not too happy with that and kills him. And we see that he's trying to cultivate something that they had figured out with Deadpool, with curing his cancer would save his beloved. And match cut to him as an much older man in the now. Butler is much older, and we see that he still hasn't cured his beloved. I love how we're getting like that match cut in the showing of time, as we have like this complex back in the day in the daytime, and then the complex again at night here. And so we're getting back to our protagonist, getting to Deadpool as he's kind of wondering, what's going on, and he's got a plan. He's going to go find somebody to ask some questions, and he sneaks in, takes out these guys, and he's going to go in, serve some food, and we see that the person that he's going to is Logan, and Logan is sleeping in bed. He goes in, he's like, "I think I'm in trouble." "You're always in trouble. This is different trouble. I think I'm being targeted." He's asking if he knew anyone named Butler. And so he basically shoos him away, sends him on his way. But here's one of those AR codes that would have brought something up. And as he's walking out, I like this little joke of like where he's saying, "Nope, bye, Storm." And this was at a time when Wolverine and Storm were a couple. So she's in bed under the covers, and he just leaves, and she says, "Bye, Wade." And next we see Wade going to Captain America, the OG super soldier. We're kind of just getting a view of how these two heroes kind of view Deadpool. And so he's been kind of shooed away, and we see here that he is eating some Chinese food, and he pulls down his pants. He's got a number 2 on his underwear playing on the Fantastic Four logo, and then he cuts his leg and puts this little implant in there. And Preston asks, "Is it a tracking device?" And he says, "No, it's a surprise." And he puts it in his leg. It looks so nasty. Delving into like who Deadpool's character is, we get him then going off to find somewhere to sleep, and kind of get this reveal that he's been spending the night in like murder locations where other people aren't using them. This is like an active crime scene that Deadpool is sleeping at, and he's like, there's a sheet, you can see where the murder happened, and he's just like so blasé and like unfazed by staying in such a horrible place. And Preston's just asking him, "How long have you felt comfortable living like this?" So kind of just setting up like how broken Deadpool is, and what made him get like this. And I love this moment as he's yelling at Preston, "Shut up, Preston, excuse me, we're not alone." And then here's Wolverine. He's like, "You hearing voices again, Deadpool?" And he says, "I've been following you. You were right. The men that are tracking you are good. I'm better." And he says, "See, I told you." And quiet. Don't holster that. They're seconds away. One is about to step inside behind you from the laundry room. And then he shoots him, gets him right away. But yeah, look at Deadpool's face. I love how gnarled he is. Get Wolverine popping the claws. This is really just a fun series. Like, if you really do want to see these characters together, you liked seeing them in the movie together, this is a great occasion of seeing them like going on in a really good story adventure together, and how their origins are kind of tied. Wade grabs a bunch of like toxic chemicals and knives and puts them in the microwave while Logan runs off. I love this dramatic high angle as Logan's like getting real low, running at us. And I love this moment as Wolverine cuts the lines as they're climbing up and they all go falling. But really great purple color here. The yellow really pops on it. And he had timed the microwave perfectly. He runs and he jumps out the window right as it explodes, like with shrapnel and everything just hitting all the guys in there. And as this is happening, he's yelling, "Come on down, Butler. I'm not your guinea pig anymore. I won't go back. Come on, get some." And he's blasting away. And we see that Deadpool has been dreaming this as he's already been captured. And he's kind of in that weapon plus test tank tied up to all the tubes, just like Logan was with the Weapon X stuff. And we get a to be continued. And like I was saying, the rest of the series has some really great just action between these characters. You really see them just all doing their thing, being awesome. Declan Shalvey's art is just amazing. He draws these characters really well. And we just really get like a nice, well-rounded story for Deadpool, which we don't always get. It's usually pretty jokey. But with this comic, we're getting a little bit of what drives Deadpool with the guilt and a redemption arc for him. You know, this is him coming into contact with life that he ruined. Preston, who's dead and now in his head, and then all the other people that have died because of him. And then also just kind of getting into why Butler is stealing his organs, what they're using that for. They're continuing the Weapon X program to make these other mutants out of people that weren't mutants. So they're using like some people's DNA mixed with Deadpool's DNA to make it stick. And he's kind of making an army for North Korea. And so these three have to go in and kind of see what Weapon X has been up to. By the end, we see that Captain America and Wolverine have kind of like a new appreciation for Deadpool and aren't as embarrassed by him as they maybe were before. And that maybe Deadpool can start to reclaim his origin a little bit, reclaim his memories and just himself and his life, just kind of move forward with purpose and kind of knowing more about himself. Really love Brian Posehn going back to Tim and Eric. Big fan of his, but this comic is one that will make you laugh. This story tugs at your heartstrings a little bit more and kind of makes Deadpool a little bit more of like a three-dimensional character. But this has been Deadpool number 15, part 1 of the good, the bad, and the ugly. And if you're a comic head just like me, maybe you'll want to check out my comics. I am a self-published cartoonist, and you can find my work at danegeorges.com, which is linked in the description below. I do a series called Doomskull, which is about an ex-supervillain that works at a grocery store with his minion Bag Boy. I've got 3 issues of that in print. You can find those on my website, and I've got a 4th issue that I'm finishing up currently. I also have books like X-Ray, which is a collection of my 4-panel webcomics that I would post online on Webtoons, Tapastic, or Instagram, along with black and white horror zines like Sleepless Sights, Jiggly-Bub, or The Passenger. You can find all that and so much more at danegeorges.com. But thank you so much for watching this video. And if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing. I post a new episode every Wednesday, so subscribe to make sure you don't miss anything. But until next time, remember to think and read dangerously.